We may have had our differences as kids, Joe and I, but when we joined the Guard, we were tight, man. Tight.
We were part of the greatest institution in the world. Home wasn't Carbondale, Pennsylvania any longer. For me, anyway. It was the U.S. Army. We were about to serve our nation.
Truth be told, bro, I joined because you said, Earl, want to join? We'll be serving our country and they'll pay for our college. So I said, okay, sure. And then the recruiter said, plus, no worries, boys, the 109th Pennsylvania National Guard hasn't been called up in 52 years. 2 weeks after we start basic, 9/11 happens. I was like, hold it. I didn't sign up for war. And you know, basic wasn't easy for me, Joe. But you helped me through. You helped a lot of us through. We get home from basic, then boom, January 2002, we get the call. Your unit's shipping out to Bosnia now. Everyone drops their jobs, schooling, plans for the future. Families say goodbye, and we're gone.
You and I were in different platoons. I was worried about you. I'd be asking, you doing okay, buddy? You staying out of trouble? You got plenty of guys watching your back? My little brother.
We served in Bosnia for 9 months. Our mission was to prevent more atrocities from taking place. A year and a half later, I'm going to Lackawanna College in Scranton when Joe calls me and says, I'm volunteering for Iraq. You in? And I say, you bet.
I met my wife, Stephanie, for the first time when we were both training for the Guard at Fort Drum. She was an angel in uniform. My son was born while I was training down in Mississippi. We got married the day before the unit left for Iraq.
June 2005. Carbondale's out in force to see us off. The war wasn't going so well, and people were getting killed, and the National Guard, we were backup, man.
Convoy security was the most dangerous because we were escorting 18-wheelers, picking up and dropping off supplies all over the countryside. We traveled at night. We saw a lot of destruction. Civilian casualties, deaths, IED explosions. I wanted to be strong for my men and keep them safe. The Army teaches you how to do that.
But you're still worried about me, Joe. Always.
I did, bro. Always. Then George Puglisi was killed, along with 4 of our buddies from the 109th when their Bradley struck an IED outside of Ramadi. I'd known them for years. Puglisi was my hero, my role model. I never got over his death.
We were devastated. But you took it the worst, bro. Man, we didn't realize how much you took it on yourself. Survivor's guilt. We got home from Iraq June 2006, and I went back to college. Joe got a job at the state prison as a corrections officer. He and Steffi had another baby. I worked odd jobs when I could find them. It was hard. No one wanted to hire National Guard because they were afraid you'd get called up and have to leave. Finally, in December 2007, I said, enough. I'm out of here. I volunteered for Afghanistan, and by February, 3rd deployment, a small outpost in the Kush mountain range.
It broke my heart to see you off to Afghanistan. But I couldn't go. I had 2 kids, bills to pay, a steady job.
June 3rd, 2008. We were all in Humvees leaving Zormat when our vehicle hit an IED. I was blown out of the vehicle. I came to on the ground and I looked over at the Humvee. It was destroyed. I tried to stand up. I have to check the other guys, I thought, but I couldn't. And that's when I looked down and saw my legs were covered in blood and both my feet were backwards. So many things were going through my head. We just hit a roadside bomb. Did anyone else get hurt? Then my buddy came over and started praying for me. And I thought, holy cow, am I going to die? I kept asking everyone, how's the other guys? Are they okay? And everyone kept saying, yeah, they're fine. Fine, we're working on them. But then I saw the 2 body bags, and I knew. They flew me to Bagram Hospital and then to Landstuhl in Germany. And that's where the surgeon said, son, we're gonna have to amputate your left leg, but we think we can save the right one. And I said, Doc, do what you gotta do. I'm just happy to be alive. A week later, I'm at Walter Reed, and a few days after that, my family arrives. Mom, Dad, and you, Joe. But you wouldn't look at me. And when the nurse came in and took the blankets off my legs, you left the room.
It was my fault. I should have been there. If I'd have gone with you, you wouldn't have lost your leg.
There's nothing you could have done, Joe. But Joe stayed for about a month to help me. Then he kept coming back off and on for nearly 3 years. He filled out paperwork. He pushed me to do the physical therapy. And yet when we talked, it seemed like you were the one who needed cheering up, not me. You deny it, but I could tell. I kept saying to you, man, I'm gonna be okay. I'm alive. There was nothing you could have done. You'd get very quiet, and then I'd say, bro, talk to me. I love you.
I couldn't talk to you, Earl. I couldn't get back to being myself. I didn't know who myself was. Started to visit the graves of everyone in our unit who'd been killed. I'd just sit there. Steffi sort of understood, but I couldn't talk to her about this sense of guilt, of loss. How weak would that be? Then the 109th was called up again to deploy to Iraq. I would have gone in a heartbeat, but after what happened to Earl, Mom went to command and asked them not to send me. Around that same time, Stephanie's unit got called up to deploy to Iraq. When she said it was her turn to go, I was mighty angry, I admit it. And that was one tough year, let me tell you. I was holding down a full-time job at the prison, taking care of the kids, fulfilling my guard duties, worried sick about Stephanie, and still worried about your recovery, Earl. When Steffi came home, we got pregnant right away with our 3rd child, and I landed a full-time job as the NCO trainer for the National Guard at Honesdale Armory. Benefits, the whole bit. I should have been happier about it, but I was just more and more depressed. I wasn't sleeping. I was anxious in crowds. I lost my temper over little things, minor stuff. Steffi said, why don't you see someone? Maybe you have PTSD. It's not a sign of failure to ask for help.
Joe started seeing a psychotherapist once a month at the VA hospital, and he said he liked her. Then in December, the 109th got called up to deploy to Kuwait.
They chose not to send me. Maybe I wasn't as good a soldier as I thought. I was going to have to watch my friends go. The guys I'd trained go, just like I watched you go, Earl,
and you weren't going to be there to help them. December 18th, 2010. Stephanie was wrapping presents with the kids, and you said you were going to run over to the mall and pick up a new shirt for the holidays. You kissed her on the cheek and said, I love you. The police found your car parked on a bridge in Carbondale. You jumped. No note. Just a Christmas present for Stephanie in the back seat. If only I'd seen the signs. If you'd have just talked to us. Why did you have to be so proud? You crushed us, Joe. Our family, our friends, the 109th Guard, everyone. There were over 1,000 people at your memorial service, Joe. People stood in line a mile long in the freezing rain to say goodbye to you. They wept. I wept. I loved you so much. I would have given my other leg to keep you alive.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Mann.
There are roads in this life that we all travel. There are scars and there are battles where we roam. When we are lost, or wherever we may go, they will always lead you home. There are roads that have led me to another, to a friend, to a lover I have known. For every turn is a year that I have grown as I walk along these roads. And some are long and some are weathered, and some will lead you through a storm. When you've gone astray, you will find your way as you walk along these roads. There were times when I stumbled and I wandered. Every choice and every step I won't regret, 'cause I believed, and I have loved like no other. I won't fear what lies
Together, we mourn the loss of Joe Granville and all our service members who have suffered the tragic consequences of war. Veterans from all wars are dying by suicide on an average of 22 per day. Yet depression and PTSD are treatable illnesses. If you are, or know of someone who is experiencing the symptoms of emotional distress, please reach out to one of the many people and organizations who can help. Remember, you never have to be alone. And if your distress leads to thoughts of suicide, immediate help is available.